Have you ever noticed that the endings of English verbs change depending on who is doing the action? That happens in German as well, and that's what we're going to talk about today. It's called German conjugation, and I can't wait to tell you about all of the German verb endings. My name is Carly Sitzman, and I am a linguist who helps people learn German and communicate in German. Okay, so today we're talking about verb conjugation, which means changing the ending of the verb depending on who is doing the action. In English, there's only really two endings. You can say, for example, I swim or she swims. So you either have no ending or you add an S. In German, it's much more complex. Just about every single pronoun has a different ending. And I recommend that you memorize those so that you can use German verbs effectively. Let's get started. Let's use the verb schwimmen, which means to swim. Whenever you look up a verb in a dictionary, you are going to find a verb with an en ending. That is the infinitive. So the first thing you need to do is get rid of the en, and that will give you the root of the verb. This root is what we will be adding all of our endings to as we use the verb. Okay, so let's go through the pronouns. In English, we have I, he, she, it, we, they, you. Those are all pronouns. The exact same ones exist in German with a little bit of a difference. They have two ways of referring to another person by saying you. You can either be formal, like you're talking to your boss or a stranger on the street, or you can be informal, like you would talk with your friends and family. So we will use both of those pronouns today. The first one is ich, which means I. And with schwimmen, we'll say ich schwimme. So we've added an E to the end. Every time you use ich, you add that E. Next, we'll use du, which means you, and that is the informal one you would use with your friends and family. Du schwimmst, with an ST on the end. That is the ending you use every time with du. Now we'll use Sie, which is the formal version of you that you use with your boss, your teacher, strangers on the street. Sie schwimmen. We add the en. Now this looks a lot like the infinitive, the verb that we started out with, but it's better to conceptualize it as adding the en back, because then you can keep your verb conjugation procedure uniform for all pronouns. So take away the en, add a new one for Sie. Then we have he, she, it. In German, all of these have the same ending. So we have he, which is sie, which is she, and it, which is s. So schwimmt, sie schwimmt, es schwimmt. We're adding a T every single time. Next is wir. Wir schwimmen. Again, we're adding an en ending. Take it away, add it back for wir. And wir means we. Now we're going to use sie, which in this case means they. So sie schwimmen, again, adding that en. Then we will have ihr, which is an informal way of referring to a group, kind of like you guys or y'all. So ihr schwimmt, we're adding that T every time. So that's all of the pronouns with their endings. You can use these endings with any verb, and these are the present tense endings. So you would use this conjugation method for things that are happening right now. So now that you know how to conjugate a verb, let's do some tips and tricks. The first one is you may have noticed there are 3 Z's in this table. Z can have 3 different meanings. First of all, notice that the Z used as a formal you is always capitalized. Always, always, always. That's a giveaway. The lowercase z can mean she or they. This is where verb conjugation becomes really important because if you're saying they, you're going to add the en ending. If you're saying she, you're going to add the t ending. And people will look for that to figure out what the meaning of z is because it's kind of ambiguous, right? You can figure out the meaning from the context sometimes, but the verb conjugation is very, very helpful. What else was I going to talk about? What if you want to use a noun like the dog or Fred? What do you do then? You need to do a test in your head. Imagine you are replacing that noun with a pronoun. So, with the dogs, we'll do a group. We'll say dogs. We could replace that with they. In German, they would be sie. What is the ending for z? En. So if we wanted to say the dogs swim, we could say die Hunde schwimmen. That would be perfect. If we want to talk about Fred swimming, we need to think. What can we replace Fred with? He, right? Er. So, schwimmt. We can say Fred schwimmt. And there you have it. The correct ending for your noun. So that's it for today. I recommend you memorize these endings, so if you need a table to help you get started, click on the link below and that will take you to a table on my blog. And otherwise, I'll see you next time. Happy learning! Tschüss!